We're living in some extremely crazy times. I mean, time like we've never lived in before. We're at a place where America is at war with America, and white Americans have turned on white Americans. You have white Americans that don't even want to be white. They'd rather be animals, cats and dogs and black, and they want to be everything but white. And what's strange about that is that's something that we usually hear among the so-called black Americans, where black Americans and other races strive hard to be like the white man and like the white woman. But now you have white people that hate and that's ashamed of being white. I've never seen in the 58 years in my life where white people have turned against their own country. They've turned against their own president to the point where they'd rather that this country go into recession than for President Trump to win. They don't want him to win. They want him to fail. So in order for them to fail, they'd rather Americans to suffer. And what's really revealing about that is that Americans have been so conditioned for so long that we were in recession, that we're in debt, when in reality it was those that were in that political arena that was causing the problems with America. While the so-called politicians were repeatedly going up on your taxes, so the low-class Americans are constantly paying taxes, high taxes here, taxes here, taxes here. And in their hearts, they're really believing that they're doing a great thing. They're believing that they're helping. When in reality, they're only filling the pockets of those political figures that you voted into office. And Americans aren't really used to presidential candidates keeping their promise. You vote people into office knowing that they're lying to you. You know that they're making all of these promises that if I become president, this is what I would do for you. And then once they take that position, they go completely opposite to what they promised. And then they'll tell you, well, I can't do it because the Democrats won't let me. Or I can't do this because the Republicans won't let me. Or I can't do this because Congress won't let this happen. Or I can't do this because they always have a reason and an excuse. But yet, if you look at a lot of their bank accounts, if you look at a lot of their net worth, you will see where your money is going. Now, Trump is keeping his promise. The economy is at its all-time best. But yet, you have a certain group of people that don't like that. They frown upon that. The Democrats and the media. They want the system to go back to where it was, keeping the average American blind, deaf, and dumb. Now, I did a video in the past titled Population Reduction. And it's interesting that the average American is so asleep that they can't see that they're being politically nuked. They're being politically put to sleep. And when I say you're being put to sleep, in other words, you're being put to death. They put into law where sodomy is okay. They've actually made sodomy legal. It's now a law. The LGBTQ community is legal for two men to get married, for two women to get married. It's legal. That within itself is mind-blowing to me because I've never heard of anything that crazy in my life. They're always talking about the opioid addiction. Now, like Dave Chappelle said in his skit, when black people were going through their addictions, white people said, just say no. And they had black people telling black people, just say no, because our minds were conditioned. So we thought what they were telling us was good. It sounded good to us. So we started repeating what the same media that most of y'all support now, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, CBS, all of the Trump-hating media, now you've gained sides with them. You took sides with them. But that same media was telling you to just say no. Now we have an opioid addiction or epidemic now that it's in the white community. And you have all of these people that made the choice and decision to shoot those drugs up or to pop those pills. But yet, at the same time, while they're talking about solving an opioid epidemic, they're legalizing marijuana. Now, weed is not like the weed when I was growing up. They got so many chemicals mixed into this. You really don't know what you're getting. Just today, I heard about somebody had smoked some weed that had some type of mold on it. And it ended up taking their life. So you don't really know what you're getting. And weed, everybody knows that weed is a gateway to everything else. But yet they're legalizing that, knowing that one day it could possibly lead to opioid addiction, but yet they're trying to heal you. They make you believe that they're trying to help you. But in reality, it's all about population reduction. That's strange to me. But then you have white people turning on white people. You have white people accusing white people of being a white supremacist. That within itself is mind-blowing to me because I came up in the 60s. See, I've witnessed and experienced a different type of white people. And the white people we deal with today are an offspring of those white people. So when you talk about genes and DNA, it's still in them. But yet, are they really confused? Or have they become pawns as well, like everybody else? And I think when it comes to the illegal immigration, and that's mind-blowing within itself, because now you have Americans turning on, you have white Americans turning on white Americans in favor of criminals, illegal immigrants that's breaking into the country. And then you have the politicians that you voted into position are now vouching for them, illegal immigrants, more than they're trying to help the average American that's struggling. That's mind-blowing to me. America is at war. And white people have turned on white people. You have white people now that's defending black people. You have white women that no longer want to sleep with a white man because in her mind she thinks she's black. Like you have black women or black females that think they are white. And they no longer want to deal with a black man, but they want to deal with a white man because in their mind, they are a white woman. So it's mind-blowing to me. It's all a part of population reduction. We're living in the last and evil days. And it's interesting when you just sit back and observe. Just sit back and watch what's happening. Now, I'm going to do a video. This is off the topic, but on the topic, on a dream I had. When in this dream, I was showed that there are so many so-called black males that are prostitutes or gigolos, and how a lot of these so-called black males that are on the down low, that are homosexuals, but they hide behind thuggery. They hide behind women. They may have a girlfriend. They may have a wife. They may even have children. And they've always been doing this. But now there's more than you would ever imagine that's hiding behind thug life, that will blast rap music. I'm talking about that hardcore rap music to make it appear that they are men. But they know in their heart of hearts and in their secret lifestyle that they are not only homosexuals, but they're also prostitutes, selling themselves to other men. They sell themselves to other men in ways that we don't even imagine. No, they're not standing on corners. They're working through social media, making donations to men. And then these men, they become attached to the money. And before time, as time go by, they'd end up meeting. And then they'll meet each other. So there are so many secret male prostitutions that's happening. And a lot of them have big channels. This is what was shown to me. Right? So I'm going to do a video on that at a later time. But I just wanted to speak briefly on how America is at war with America. And when it comes to the so-called allies of America, they were never really allies. They're frenemies. They're enemies pretending to be friends just to be able to benefit off of America. And see, that's what Trump is talking about, where America is protecting all of these so-called allies. and they're getting nothing in return. They're taking advantage of this country, of the taxpayers' dollars. And you have so-called taxpayers that's so deep into sleep that they really believe that they're helping someone out, when in reality, they're filling the pockets of crooked politicians, the same ones that's fighting Trump, the same ones that's attacking the supporters of Trump, the same ones that is trying to confiscate your firearms so that you have no way to protect yourself and your family. The same ones that's sitting quiet while the criminals break into your house and rob you. They sit quiet while police gun down unarmed civilians and children. They sit silent, but yet they claim to care about the children at the border that's crossing into this country illegally. They care about those children. That's all Kamala Harris talk about. That's all Ilhan Omar talk about. That's all the Democrats talk about, are the illegals, helping the illegals, caring about their children when American children are dying. I read an article just today. It's an old article, but where 3 infants or 3 young children were shot in the head by police because the police shot at the mother's boyfriend and the rounds hit the kids. But yet, more than likely, those cops will walk because that's the country we live in. We have America that's at war with America. You have white Americans that have turned on white Americans. So now we're in a condition or a position where we really don't know who to trust. Blacks can't trust blacks, whites can't trust whites. And then we have immigrants that's coming to this country that really don't like America or Americans, but not only want to just benefit off of the taxpayers' dollars, but they want to see Americans destroyed. And you have so-called Americans that want to see America destroyed, although you and your family live here. This is your root. I'm not talking about your ancestors that came from another country, but this is your root, but you want your root to be destroyed, which would also destroy yourself. That's suicide. That's political suicide. But it's just mind-blowing that people are so asleep and conditioned that they have no idea what's happening to them. And they really think they're doing a good thing or a good deed, when in reality, they're brainwashed, they're bewitched, they're under some type of trance and spells. And the only thing that they rattle off is what they hear programmed to them by fake news media. So legal marijuana is being legalized. Opioid addiction, they're saying that there's an epidemic, but they're legalizing the gateway to the opioid epidemic. They'd rather this country to go into recession. They'd rather Americans to be poor and struggling because they have a personal vendetta against Trump. They want him to fail. You have white people crying white supremacy and pointing fingers at each other, referring to each other as a white supremacist, but yet behind closed doors in their home, they have a white supremacist mindset. and they allow racism to ooze from their lips. That's the wrong word I wanted to use. It just didn't come out right. So America is at war with America. And white people turned on white people. We're living in the last days. So anything that comes from this point on, and even things that happened prior, is a form of judgment. These hurricanes, and I know everybody have their own opinion on these hurricanes, and they believe the HAARP and how it's man-made, and it may be. And maybe that's the Most High's way of bringing about judgment. But you have judgment now that's starting to creep through the land. Judgment / death. And you don't know when judgment / death is going to hit you or someone close to you. So people have to really check themselves. People have to really look in the mirror at themselves and at the condition of their souls, the condition of their life and their lifestyles, their moral or lack of moral values, what you believe in, and what you hold dear to your heart. You need to really look at that, because that's going to determine where you spend eternity. So I'm going to end the video. I said a lot of things that I didn't really mean to say. I had things written out, certain points that I wanted to talk about, but it didn't come out in this video. But I think I got my point across. But I want to give a shout out to those that made donations through PayPal and also through the Cash App. I really appreciate that. Your donation is much appreciated, and I appreciate you. So, feedback, tell me what you think, subscribe, share the video. Until next time, I'm fearless.